Advancing justice means harnessing the very tools you have to speak out about a cause or issue that is important to you. Justice looks at who should be given a benefit or who bears the burden. Here at the Legal Aid Society, justice was at the forefront of the minds of our founders because they understood that your socioeconomic status should not operate as a bar to access and equity. As a person of color and a woman, this intersectionality has informed the kind of advocate I aspire to be. Every time I step into the courtroom, speak with a client, draft a motion, attend a conference, this lens serves as my superpower because at the core of it all is the human element. As the late great Charles Hamilton Houston stated, a social engineer is a highly skilled, perceptive, sensitive lawyer who understands the Constitution of the United States and knows how to explore its uses in solving the problems of local communities and in bettering the conditions of underprivileged citizens. That's advancing justice.
Well, nearly 5 months after a fire at an apartment building in Fordham, some residents are still not able to return to their homes.
And tonight, they're taking legal action. It's been almost 3 months since the fire, and Herrera, plus dozens of other tenants, still don't have a place to live.
With the help of the Legal Aid Society and the Anti-Tenant Harassment Program, they're now filing a lawsuit to try and get out of those shelters and back into their homes.
The law says that they are supposed to fix the building, make it habitable for the tenants that have leases for their apartments in this building.
There's a long history of neglect at this building, of violations of the city housing code throughout the building, typical problems of leaks, molds, and vermin infestations, just a really poorly maintained building.
The case was referred to us from a resident who was living in the building at the time, so we followed up by door knocking to let them know that our office had been contacted about the building being in fire.
So you go from being a part of a community where you know your neighbors and you've lived for many years and that's the place you call home, to all of a sudden being thrust into a bureaucracy and having to deal with different agencies and different barriers and nobody really treating you like, you know, you're someone who really just needs to get home.
It just brings out a lot of anger. Going from place to place, different shelters. I lived in that apartment for over 22 years.
Now in the current shelter, all we have is a glorified hotel room. We have to share the kitchen and bathroom with everyone else on the same side of the building.
It's really hard. I've been a woman that's always been willing, you know, to help everybody else out, and I'm in the middle of still being confused because I don't know what's the next step.
We can bring these moments to the court's attention and show the court that we are here on behalf of people who have been displaced, and we always try to center the people who've been affected by the landlord's neglect. So we're not just talking about a building or a business or an entity. We're talking about a group of people who have been directly affected by a landlord's negligence, and they're fighting to get back into the homes that are safe and livable.
What I learned from Carrie was that her history of trafficking started at a very young age. She was a teenager when she was kind of pulled into the world on 14th Street where trans women were engaging in prostitution. A few months before she called me, New York State had repealed the loitering for prostitution statute. And as part of that repeal, the legislature ordered the sealing of all loitering convictions. As I was talking to Carrie, I realized that yes, it seemed as though she fit that legal definition of trafficking, which meant that under New York's vacatur statute, she was eligible to have her prostitution-related convictions vacated.
Yeah, back then, like, I went through a lot, you know, in prison. I was in solitary confinement in my last 6 years of prison for 2 years. So I had a lot of mental issues from being locked in a cell every day for 2 years straight. And the officers abusing me, and you know, that's another thing. Lee and them knows, I told them all about that. Like, I felt that comfortable to tell them that. Like, to let them know it hasn't always been easy, but Lee and them, they never judge me. Laura, they never judge me, you know? They made me feel good about myself.
When Carrie first called me, she was hoping to get her record sealed because she was looking for employment. And I knew that the vacatur process was going to take a long time. It always does. So I connected her to Legal Aid's Worker Justice Project.
It's so important for employers to hear about Carrie's story, right? Because if an employer just sees Carrie's background check, especially her background check before her convictions were vacated, it doesn't look good to employers. It looks scary. But Carrie has an incredibly moving story.
So the most important thing that we help them put together, of course, is the personal statement / accomplishment packet. And with that, they're basically letting an employer know that I am not my previous criminal conviction history.
For her to be able to tell that story to employers, either through an interview or on paper, that makes all the difference for her.
I also referred her to our team's immigration attorney, so I could actually better understand what her status was and to see if there was a way that we could normalize her status in some way.
When I met Carrie, I got an immigration history from her. She came to the US when she was only 7 years old on a green card, and she had lived her whole life with permanent resident status. But she lost her permanent residence after she was convicted of a felony. Once her convictions were vacated, I was able to file for a T visa, which is something that, as a victim of trafficking, she qualifies for the special visa, which eventually, once it's approved, allows her to also apply for a green card again.
They say that young individuals at times, with the history that Amir had to experience, they become shell-shocked in a way, and that's exactly how I met him.
So my first strategy and my first job is to keep him free and to avoid placement in a juvenile detention facility. That's my first job. My second responsibility to Amir is to try and stabilize him, to connect him with services that would be beneficial to him in his life and in the life now of his children.
Whenever he was in court, I made sure I was there. Even if he didn't feel like talking to me, I would just sit beside him, just so he knows that someone would be there and just to show up.
Even when I felt as if I didn't need it, they always remained in my corner. Some people, they'll help you to a certain extent until they realize, oh, this person doesn't want help. So I can't help someone that don't want help. So some people, they leave the person alone, and they never left me alone, never.
I think the first step that he took was to let us know that he was ready. Showing up to court cases, which he had not been doing. Being available to speak with Debbie, to speak with me. Showing up for meetings that we had scheduled for him.
He definitely woke up. He's told the judge that, like those words, because at one point when we were facing disposition of his case, and all the support in the courtroom, really did our best. We were like, okay, we're working for him, and the judge just wanted to hear from Amir. And the judge was like, I don't care what reports, I don't care anything, I want to hear from Amir.
I just felt as if it had to stop. When is it gonna stop? Who is gonna stop? Who's gonna break this cycle?
Our job is to try to make the court, respond to the needs of our clients, which in this case is ordering the landlord to make the repairs as soon as possible. And because we are there to push the court and on behalf of our clients, the court did issue an order directing the landlord to make the repairs within the building and within the times that are within the law.
If I didn't have legal aid, it would be real bad. Not only for me, but half of the people that are in my situation. This is why we need the services of legal aid, to be in the courthouses, because they are the voices for us. We are lost without them.
She's in such a different place now. Like, she has this amazing job that she loves, and they love her.
Vocal New York. Yes, I love Vocal. Working at Vocal feels like home. Like, they all love me. They don't judge me because of my sex work past. They know my whole story and they don't judge me.
She keeps getting promotions. Through our immigration attorney, she's got much safer and more stable housing. And even though she was always an optimistic person, I think it's just on a different level now I think she feels like there's really no turning back for her, and that the dreams and goals that she had for herself as a young person are gonna come true for her.
Our staff is fiercely committed to our clients and the communities we serve. Our direct representation keeps families and communities united, while our impact litigation is dedicated to dismantling the systems that perpetuate oppression, racism, poverty, and incarceration. Every role at Legal Aid represents a critical piece of the puzzle to serve our clients' needs effectively. Together, we are advancing justice.